Special Forces take on the world's most impossible missions, high-risk operations, where success means glory and failure means death. These elite warriors operate in the shadows, carrying out daring rescues, high-stakes assassinations, and secretive raids. Today, we're diving into the most dangerous Special Forces missions ever attempted. From hostage rescues deep behind enemy lines to covert operations that almost ended in disaster. Let's get started. Mission 1. Operation Neptune Spear. The Bin Laden Raid. It was the night of May 2, 2011. A team of highly trained U.S. Navy SEALs flew into Pakistan under complete radio silence. Their mission? Take down the world's most wanted terrorist, Osama bin Laden. But this was no ordinary operation. They were flying into enemy territory, with no official support and no backup. If anything went wrong, they were on their own. As they approached the compound in Abbottabad, disaster struck. One of the helicopters lost lift and crashed right inside the courtyard. Despite the setback, the SEALs pressed forward. They breached the compound, clearing room after room, until they found their target. In a matter of seconds, it was over. Osama bin Laden was dead. The mission was a success, but it could have easily ended in disaster. If the SEALs had been captured or killed, the U.S. government would have denied any involvement. This was a high-risk, high-reward operation, and it changed history forever. Mission 2. Operation Thunderbolt. The Entebbe raid. Imagine being trapped on a hijacked plane, thousands of miles from home, with terrorists threatening to kill you at any moment. That's exactly what happened in 1976 when Palestinian and German terrorists hijacked an Air France flight and diverted it to Uganda. Over 100 hostages were held at Entebbe Airport under the protection of Ugandan dictator Idi Amin. The clock was ticking, and negotiations were going nowhere. So Israel made a decision: send in the commandos. Under the cover of darkness, Israeli Special Forces flew over 2,500 miles in a daring rescue mission. Disguised as Ugandan soldiers, they stormed the terminal in less than 2 minutes, taking the terrorists by surprise. In a hail of gunfire, all the hijackers were eliminated. The hostages were freed. But the mission wasn't without loss. Yonatan Netanyahu, the commander of the operation, was killed in action. Operation Thunderbolt remains one of the most successful hostage rescues in history, proving that no distance is too far when it comes to saving lives. Mission 3. Operation Red Wings. The Lone Survivor Mission. In 2005, U.S. Navy SEALs were sent on a covert mission deep inside Afghanistan. Their target? A high-ranking Taliban commander hiding in the mountains. But something unexpected happened. While on reconnaissance, they were spotted by a group of local goat herders. The SEALs had a choice: kill them or let them go and risk the mission being compromised. They chose to let them go. Hours later, the mountains erupted with gunfire. The SEALs were ambushed by over 100 heavily armed Taliban fighters. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and completely cut off. One by one, the team fell, until only one man remained: Marcus Luttrell, wounded and barely alive. Luttrell crawled for miles through the rugged terrain before being rescued by Afghan villagers who protected him from the Taliban. His story would later be told in the book and movie Lone Survivor. But the reality? This was one of the deadliest missions in Navy SEAL history. Mission 4. The Battle of Mogadishu, Black Hawk Down. October 3, 1993. U.S. Special Forces launched a mission in Somalia to capture a notorious warlord's top lieutenants. It was supposed to be a quick in-and-out operation, but instead, it turned into one of the most intense urban battles in modern history. As the troops moved in, disaster struck. 2 U.S. Black Hawk helicopters were shot down by Somali militias. Suddenly, the mission changed. Instead of an extraction, it became a desperate fight for survival. U.S. forces were surrounded, pinned down in a hostile city, fighting wave after wave of enemy fighters. For 15 brutal hours, the battle raged on. By the time reinforcements arrived, 18 American soldiers were dead and dozens more wounded. The event would later be immortalized in the movie Black Hawk Down. But for those who were there, it was a nightmare they would never forget. Mission 5. Operation Jaque. The Colombian hostage rescue. Not every mission relies on firepower. Sometimes, the most effective weapon is deception. In 2008, Colombian Special Forces pulled off one of the most brilliant hostage rescues in history without firing a single shot. For years, the rebel group FARC held 15 high-profile hostages, including former presidential candidate Ingrid Betancourt. Their captors were ruthless, and the chances of a successful military rescue were slim. So the Colombian forces came up with a different plan, one that required nerves of steel. Disguised as humanitarian workers, they convinced the rebels to move the hostages onto a helicopter, supposedly for a prisoner transfer. But once in the air, the humanitarian workers revealed their true identity: Colombian Special Forces. The rebels were completely fooled, and within minutes, every hostage was free. Operation Jaque was a masterpiece of psychological warfare, proving that sometimes The best battles are won without firing a bullet. From high-stakes assassinations to brutal urban warfare, these missions pushed special forces to their absolute limits. Some were won with brute force, others with pure strategy. But all of them came with extreme risk. Which mission do you think was the most dangerous? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more military content like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We've got more insane military stories coming your way.